So let me please get your attention up here. Back up here. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 3, 2, 1. Alright, eyes up here, please. We don't have a lot of time. I know 2 hours seems like an exorbitant amount of time, but it actually goes by fairly quickly. Before I start, I just want to say thank you all for being here. Listen, I know it's Monday night, number one. You just got off the weekend, so you're tired, because, apparently weekends are exhausting. So you just got off the weekend. I know you have a billion other things that you could be doing, or in some cases probably should be doing. So I appreciate you coming here for your review session. That being said, just a couple of housekeeping things as we get going. Your time is very valuable. I don't want to waste it. So I'm sorry I was a little bit late today. I promise I won't be doing that often. But your time is valuable. So let's just make sure that we utilize our time really well. When I ask to get our attention back up here, it's not because I'm trying to be rude. It's not because I'm trying to cut you off. It's not because I don't like you or the sound of your voice. It's just because, which is that's funny. I like that one too. It's just because I want to make sure that we're moving through this and we get to make the most out of our time together. Here's our agenda for, my name is Mr. Oftedal, for those of you that have not had me and got lucky and had Ms. Jacobson. It is great to see all of you, and it's great to meet all of you. You can call me Mr. O, because I know Norwegian is not many people's first language. Here's what we're going to do today. We start out with multiple choice practice. We're about to go over some multiple choice practice. I'm going to go over kind of what this review sessions will be like. I'm going to go over what the exam is like. And then we're going to move into a section on content review. I do this every week where I have a sort of presentation on the major trends and themes of each of the time periods. By no means am I going to be giving you all of the information that you need, because we just spent a whole semester doing that. So to try to do that in one night would be, or not even a whole semester doing that. And then hopefully by the end, we can start doing some essay practice, because I know that that's one of the more difficult things on the exam. So to start out, I do just want to go over the basics of the exam day, because not for all of you, but for some of you, this might be your first AP exam. So the AP exam is on Thursday, May 16th. Thursday, May 16th. Ladies and gentlemen, Thursdays are late start days, but not for you on May 16th, because the AP exam starts promptly at 8 a.m. Hold the phone, because you're going to be there by 7:30. You're going to be there by 7:30. In fact, you're going to be safe, and Austin, you're going to be there by 7:15. Austin, 7:15 is when you are going to be there. Does that make sense? So make sure you're there. Now, students always ask, why do I have to wake up in that ungodly hour? And the reason is this. Before you take the AP exam, there's some paper stuff you got to fill out. Like to bubble your name and all that kind of fun stuff. You want to do that so you can actually start taking the test at 8 a.m. Does that make sense? The test will go for about half the day. You'll probably get out about noon-ish. In fact, you'll get out, probably about noon-ish, because the test is 3.5 hours long. The test is 3.5 hours long. So here's how I want you to do that. On Wednesday night, I would like you to go to bed early. Go to bed early. Do not play Fortnite until 11 p.m. I know the back table just lost it. Do not play Fortnite until 11 or midnight. I want you to go to bed at a reasonable hour. On Thursday morning, I want you to get up and have a good breakfast. I don't mean a Cliff Bar while you're running out the door. I mean, I want you to have something that is substantial. A bowl of cereal and a banana. Something that's going to get you through this exam, because it will be a lot mentally. Does that make sense? Huh? Can you chew gum? You can chew gum. At least I think. I don't know. I've never heard of anything. So, here's what you're going to do. You're going to bring a few things. Here's what you're going to bring. Number one, you are going to bring at least 2 number 2 pencils. You're going to bring 2 number 2 pencils. You're going to bring 2 number 2 pencils. You're also going to bring 2 black or blue pens. 2 black or blue pens. Ladies and gentlemen, they require that you write the essay section and the short answer in pen. which I know is so hard for students in California, right? So here we go. I know this is always the biggest fear for California students because for some reason California students, especially the guys, are really afraid of commitment. I don't know why. It's just like a weird thing. They just don't want to put the pen to the paper because, oh my God, what if I make a mistake? If you make a mistake, you simply just one line through it, they'll know. You don't have to scribble it all out, right? You don't have to draw a little picture and like put like stars and then arrows and then you just cross it out and then practice writing whatever you are. Practice writing whatever, or not practice, just write whatever you meant to write. Cool? So you need 2 pencils, at least 2 pens. In fact, go ahead and just bring 3 pencils, just in case. Pencils like to break. And so make sure you have that. I want you to also bring a snack. Now, I don't mean hot Cheetos. What I mean as a snack is something that is protein rich. Bring some salted or roasted dry almonds or something. You can bring a Cliff Bar for your snack. Because you're going to want to make sure you have something there. What else do I want you to bring? I want you to bring something else. Oh, bring water. Bring water. It'd be good to also have water to stay hydrated during the test because I know AP World History students can't survive without their hydrate flask. So just make sure you bring enough water. Cool? All right. So you're going to show up at 7:30. You're going to show up at 7:30. You are going to then fill out all the basic information that you need to fill out. You're going to start the exam. The exam starts with 55 multiple choice questions. Those 55 multiple choice questions are all what is called stimulus-based multiple choice. What that means is the College Board is going to give you a document, a chart, a graph, a primary artwork, or something like that. Something that is meant to stimulate you. Now, with the stimulus-based multiple choice, there are 55 of those multiple choice questions. You have 55 minutes to answer them. You have 55 minutes to answer them. So that's the first 55 minutes. Right after the multiple choice section, you go into the short answer section. The short answer section will have 4 questions. All of those questions, actually I take that back. At least 3, if not 4 of those questions will have stimulus attached to them as well. Those short answer questions will usually have 3 parts. You have to answer all 3 parts. You answer about half a page, if you can, to 3/4 of a page. Usually it's between 6 and 8 sentences in order to answer the short answer fully. And you are given 40 minutes to complete it. There are 4 questions there. You have to answer the first 2. And for your third one, you get to choose between 2. Does that make sense? So you have to answer the first 2, whatever they give you. And then for the third one that you answer, you're choosing 1. So you're answering 3 of them, they're giving you 4. Cool? You have 40 minutes to do that. You have 40 minutes to do that. So if you can do a short answer question in about 10 minutes, you're doing good. Colin?
Do you mean like a half page per question?
Per short answer question, A, B, and C,
Yeah.
that whole thing is yeah. What we do is warm-ups. Okay. Then, ladies and gentlemen, after the short answer section, you then take a break. You take a break where none of you are to discuss anything about the exam. So if Proctor hears you discussing anything about the exam, which I know is going to be really hard for second period, if you discuss anything about the exam, they will void your scores. And you just lose the money, and then you got to take it again. So do not discuss anything with the exam. Cool? But then that's where you eat your little protein-rich snack, you refuel yourself, you get yourself all ready to go, splash some water on your face, sit in silence and contemplate all the life decisions that brought you to that point, and then you go back into the room, and that's where you do the essay section. Ladies and gentlemen, you will have 100 minutes to write 2 essays. The first essay that will be given to you is a document-based question. If you're in my class right now, you kind of know what those are, but you don't necessarily know what they are yet. The second essay option is going to be the long essay question, the LEQs. That's what you write every single Friday in my class, the long essay question. The document-based question, you don't have any choice. You just got to, whatever the documents in the question is, you've got to answer that. For the LEQ, they will give you 3 options. And I just rechecked it today to make sure I understood this correctly because I think some of it has changed a little bit. They're going to give you 3 options. The question will all have to do with the but it will be each question will be in a different time period. Different time period. They might also do that to you, Jordan. I was told there's going to be multiple toggles, but when I read over it, it said the same theme with 3 different time periods that might be in different places as well. Yes? No, they'll ask about religious syncretism in the early modern era, the modern era, and the postmodern era. But they might ask about it in something like syncretism. So, what? The compare and contrast, CCOT, and cause and effect. Now, just to be clear on that, they give you 3 options. You choose one. They give you 3 options. You choose one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's 100 minutes to answer both of them. Let me just be 100% clear. They say to take about 60 minutes on the document-based question. 60 minutes, which includes a 15-minute reading period, which means you have about 45 minutes to write that DBQ essay. That then leaves you 40 minutes to write your LEQ. Does that make sense? So, I want you to also know this, though. You do not have to start with the DBQ. You can write the LEQ first if you'd like. You can write the DBQ first if you'd like. You can do whatever you want in that 100 minutes. You can spend 90 minutes on the DBQ and write an LEQ in 10. What I mean by that is, don't do that. Don't do that, obviously. I don't want you to do that. But you want to be thinking about managing your time. So making sure you look at the clock, make sure you can bring like a little clock or something. You can bring a watch as long as it's not an Apple Watch. That's fine. You want to give yourself about 60 minutes for the DBQ and about 40 minutes for the LEQ. They will pretty much tell you when you have 10 minutes left. Okay? So second period, you can't raise your hand every 5 minutes and ask how much time is left. Cool? Over here, I've been very patient. Yeah.
So are they gonna like
Hold on, I want to hear the question.
are they gonna tell us like, oh, like start your LEQ now?
No. They will not. You have 100 minutes and they will tell you when there's 10 minutes left. Sorry, you didn't have to answer. So okay. Yeah. Long essay question. Yeah, you're getting the prompt. Yep. You take a straight from class. You wrote those essays. Those like analyze one dog, one fact. Those are those LEQs, right? So you've done plenty of those. All right. After that, ladies and gentlemen, this is probably the most important part. After that 100 minutes, you are done with the world history exam. You should be going to 3rd period. But what's really weird is that students tend to come down with some sort of sickness that their parents have already pre-approved before the AP exam. It's really, really weird because you're probably going to start feeling really, really sick. You'll have a headache, you'll have a stomach ache, and the only cure for it is a Blenders on the beach. It's a really weird thing that happens after the AP exam. So you might just want to plan on feeling sick after the AP exam. Got it? Okay. Third period, no one sees. Okay, so any questions on the way the exam is structured? No. You guys are, school's happening as normal. You are just random. Hopefully none of you are up taking this exam in the coach's box, because some AP exams get taken up there. Annabelle, and then Jordan, and then Colin.
Where do we check in?
Great. I forgot to tell you that part, so thank you for remembering. Reminding me. You check in the library window. The library window will have, I think the night before, in fact, they might even have it earlier than that. The night before will have what room you are assigned. Usually AP World History is in the B wing, in the library, and that's it. B wing in the library, usually. B wing in the library. Cool? Is that what you were going to ask? What were you going to ask?
Is the rubric for the essays like how we grade our tests?
Yes, that is the exact same thing. And we're going to go over that. Yes.
On average, what's the ratio of students that pass?
San Marcos High School in general, above 60%. Well, we're not going to talk about my class in particular. You can ask me that later. Huh? 3 and pass, yep. Okay. there's no questions there, then just so you know, if you're in my class, back. Got a whole side conversation. If you take my class, you know that when I think something is important, I repeat it over and over and over again. Sometimes I repeat things every single day. So every single review session, I will be starting out with the basics on the exam, just to keep reminding you. The reason I'm doing that is not because I think you're going to forget, although some of you will. But it's not because I think you're going to forget. It's because a lot of issues that students have on tests like this is that they're stressed. So by me telling you about what to expect, I'm trying to reduce the stress as much as I can. If you're in my class, that's why you take tests every single Friday, because I want you to just get used to testing and testing for a long time. I was like, I haven't felt less stressed in years. Pulling out hair. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and go through some of our multiple choice. So what I'd like to do is just go through our multiple choice together. Make sure that we are going through this now. As we are looking at multiple choice, we know this is stimulus based. Anytime you see stimulus based questions or multiple choice, you want to go at it with a strategy. The first strategy that I suggest you doing with multiple choice is read the questions and the answers first. Do not read the document or look at the image. Just read the questions and all the possible answers first. Does that make sense? That way, thank you. That way, when you're looking at the document, you know what to look for. In addition, and I was talking to my AP Euro students about this as well, you also are given this stimulus in order to help you remember what you've already learned. So sometimes the stimulus is really just there to kind of help guide you. You might know the answers to some of these questions without even looking at the documents. And on a timed test, that might be able to save you. Does that make sense? So you want to read the questions first. Then I want you to read the documents. And I want you to read the documents carefully, but I don't want you to pine over, well, why did they put a comma there? And why is the tree green? Are they envious? Right? I don't want you to English class this. Don't write me a haiku about these things. I want you to read them. I want you to get a basic understanding, and then I want you to go and try and answer those questions. As you're going through these questions, what I don't want you to do is just put whatever answer comes first in your head. I want you to go through the process of elimination. I want you to PO it. Quote the Raven, nevermore. I want you to PO it. Process of elimination. So when I am asking you to answer these questions as we do as a group, I'm going to ask you what is not the answer. And I want you to explain to me why it's not the answer. Does that make sense? So number one, Trevor, start us off. Can you please read number one for us, Jack? And please tell me what you think. Did I say Trevor and then Jack? So Trevor and Jack, you decide who's going. It's because I was going to call. Yeah, go ahead, Trevor. Great! That was fantastic. Jordan, which can it not be? Why? Okay, fair enough. Can't be A. What else can it be? Why not B? It what? Yeah, not really, unless, silver is a social hierarchy, which it's not. What else can it be? Why not D? Yeah, it doesn't really talk about trade. It kind of talks about tribute, doesn't it? Right? So the answer is C. Why? Harrison. And ladies and gentlemen, this is in what time period? It's in the pre-classical era, right? But it's getting towards the classical, right? It's classical. It's 4:30. You're right. So it is a classical era. It is a classical era. And what do we know is our major theme of the classical era? Classic. And we talk about, classic. So classic. Right? And classic what? Classic empires. As those empires expanded and set the foundations for each of our major geographic regions. We know this about empires. as empires expand, what do? They incorporate diverse groups of people into their empire. What empires need to then do is figure out, how do I organize these diverse peoples? See. All right, number two, Zach. Yes, please. All right, what do we got? What can it not be? Why not be? Yeah, it doesn't really talk about patriarchy, and since when does sending silver to Babylon or wherever, get you to, or send it to Darius? What does that ever get you? Gender inequality. I mean, okay, yeah, patriarchy is usually always the answer. I know, usually you get that, but it's not patriarchy this time. What else? What else can it not be? Somebody say D. Annabelle, you said it can't be D? Yeah, why not? Well, and wouldn't tribute system kind of facilitate interactions, which would actually do the opposite, right? Wouldn't more interactions facilitate trade? Like, hey man, that guy, he's giving me a bunch of silver, but I like his shoes, right? I want to buy those. So you might do that, and of course, call on Annabelle and then CV shoes, and it's all good. So good. What else can it not be? Why not C? Yeah, it doesn't talk about religion, and that's where it says. Here's the deal: if you brought it down to where are we at? Oh, A and C. Where's it say C? Yeah. If you brought it down to A and C, that's pretty good. The answer is A. But if you brought it down to A and C, hey, that's 50%. That's still better odds than you were starting with. Does that make sense? So the answer is A. Question? Oh, I'm done. So, number 3, Blake.
Which of the following represents a significant cultural impact that the Persian Empire had on Afro-Eurasia?
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that this was a stimulus-based multiple choice questions. That these questions are all relating to a document. What I forgot to mention is that these questions are what's called spiraled. Why they make this so complicated, I don't know. But they are spiraling these questions, which means the first question directly related to the document. The second question, it's related to the document. You still got to use it, but you also have to use some outside information. Do you really need the document for this? No. This question could easily be a standalone. It's asking you, what was an impact to the Persian Empire? Do you see what I mean by spiral? And again, side conversations we can't have because I need focus. Thank you. Do we understand what I mean by spiral? Right? As you get further and further away from the document, the questions are going to use the document less and less. I'm not going to promise you that because sometimes the College Board likes to throw you a curveball and then gets me really mad. It puts me so mad. So I don't like it when they do that, but sometimes they do. So that's not a hard and fast rule, but in general, that's what it's doing. All right. So which of those did the Persian Empire certainly not do? Yeah, animist beliefs? No, they were not spreading animist beliefs, certainly not. Animist beliefs, that's going to be Bantu, that's going to be sub-Saharan Africa, that might be a little bit in the steppes, but that's not necessarily here. What else did they not do? Right, it's not C, the founding of Buddhism was where? In India, and then it spreads to China, good. So it's between B or D. Which one is the better answer? Which one is not the better answer? B. Now, why can't it be B? Wait, what's in the back here? What? Say again? Then 430? Not if you believe in Abraham. Father Abraham had many sons. We're talking 3500 BCE for Father Abraham. No, it does technically happen in the Persian Empire. So the Jewish is what's really interesting is that you actually do see the codification of Jewish holy scriptures during the Persian Empire, because what Jewish scriptures are, not all of Jewish scripture, but some of Jewish scripture. You do see that largely because the Persians are going to conquer the Jews, and then they are going to, they're going to conquer the people who conquered the Jews, and then they're going to allow the Jews to go back. But it's during those periods of exile that you're going to see things being written down, and under the relative tolerance of the Persian Empire, you will see those. But not all of the Jewish scriptures, and that's not really the biggest thing that the Persians meant to do. Because what was the official religion of the Persian Empire? Zoroastrianism. So that's going to be it. So we're looking at that. All right. Number four. I would like Mr. Nolly. Can you read number 4 for us? I pronounced your name correctly this time, right? Oh, no, don't read the poem, although that's awesome that you're going to do that. Just read the question. Yeah. All right. What can it not be? Why not D? Well, and do legalists write poetry, right? And what would that poetry look like, right? They followed the law, I gave them gold. They didn't follow the law, I threw them in a pit. End of poem, right? It's not really a poetry kind of religion. Okay, what else can it not be? Why not C? I mean, ancestor worship is certainly part of Chinese cultural traditions, but not really influencing it. What else can it not be? Why not A? Well, Confucianism has been, but why not A? Yeah, it's not really talking about right relationships. We're not talking about filial piety. We're not talking about how to create, well, we have to kind of talk about harmony, but we're not really looking at that. What do we see being promoted in this poem? Because, dude, what do you want to do with Taoism, man? I just want to, hop on my water buffalo and just, be. Man, Confucianism is lousy. Because the founder of Taoism is lousy. Okay, so it is Taoism. Great. Here we go. The poem most clearly illustrates which of the following. What can it not be? Why not A? We did just determine it was Taoism. That's true. It is the 5th century CE, though. Let's hold on to it. What else can it not be? Why not C? No, by that point, it's not the Han. This would actually be kind of in the period of warring states in between after the Han Dynasty. Han Dynasty falls 3rd century CE. Yeah, it's close though. It's close. Tang Dynasty is actually I don't know off the top of my head, but it's about the 5th century. It's about the 5th. Huh? Was the Tang? All right, so it's not the Tang Dynasty. Okay. What else can it not be? Yeah, not D, because what is the only, well, 2 if you're in Miss Jacobson's first, or if you took Miss Jacobson's first semester, don't answer this. What's really the only sort of Chinese dynasty that ever actually suppresses Confucianism somewhat? The Mongols would be the Yuan. Communism does too, so if you took Miss Jacobson first semester, yeah, Maoage, all that stuff. But not really there, yeah. Wang Mang? A little bit, but he still promoted it in general, right? It's still a part of, there wasn't an active, they didn't get rid of the civil service exam. That makes sense? Okay, so it can't be that. What else can it not be? Well, it can't be B, right? Well, because the Qin dynasty is BCE, so it can't be that. So you know it can't be that. So it's got to be probably A. I'm going to check this one, though. No. But the answers are on the bottom for me. Was that number 5? Yeah, I know. 5 is A. I was right, as usual. All right. And last but certainly, actually, let's go ahead and say, so 5 was A. Where do we see Buddhism in this? Not necessarily heaven. I think Jackie just found her next tattoo. No. What phrase here shows Buddhism? It's slight, I know, but it'd be good for you in this review session to see this. The way eternal. The way. Buddhism is known as the way. In addition, anything to do with meditation, that's also going to be a Buddhist thing as well. A Buddhist practice. Listen to me, getting filmed here. Meditation will be Buddhist, but the way is another, it's a phrase for Buddhism. Nicely done, good pull. I did not, but thank you for yelling it, Colin. Good. Rihanna, number 6. Shh, listen. All right, hold on. This question is spiraled, yeah? Do you even need the documents for this? No. So the question is, which of these civilizations did China have the most long-lasting impact? Which one can it not be? Yeah, why not Indonesia? Oh, it was. You got the. Eventually, you'll get. All right, Kayleen. Not the Philippines. Not the Philippines. You're thinking the island of Java. That's Borobudur. We'll talk about that. Not yet. Why not Persia? Right? And Persia's its own thing. Do we even see the Persians and the Chinese interacting? No. How about India? India doesn't really ever do. Why is it Korea? Colin, why is it Korea? Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, the answer is Korea. And what I want you to understand is the reason the answer is Korea is because China had a military presence there. Listen. Again, if you'd rather have side conversations, you can go home. You're allowed to leave. I won't even take it personally. But if you want to be here and focus, then let's be here and focus. So, you have, again, Korea was the only place that China really had any sort of military presence, attempted to conquer. Korea is a place where China continues to even have influence. One of the main reasons why North Korea is still a place is because of Chinese support. So China has consistently over time been impacting Korea. And of course now Korea is impacting China because you have K-pop and all that fun stuff. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, now BTSN, is that what they are now? Is that what it is? Back to school night? Is that what they're called? All right. I just assumed it was BTSN, back to school night, and that's why everybody was screaming on SNL this weekend. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be done with the multiple choice. Just so you know, on this document, you've got about 30 multiple choice questions from the pre-classical through the classical era. I did not give you the answers, but if you want to come in and talk about those answers, I'm more than happy to do that with you. I can't share the answers online because that's illegal. Cool? So what I'm going to focus on now is we are going to go to my presentation. Again, this presentation is going to be something that seems unfamiliar to you, or maybe just something that, a way that maybe you didn't put two and two together. This is not a math class, don't worry. But just, I would still write things down. Also, I'm going to be going fairly quickly. That's another reason why I record this. So I'm not as fast as John Green, but I can kind of keep up. But I'm much better looking. So don't get in that face, Alex. Now, yes. Cool. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this presentation is a bit of a different one because it is going to span two time periods. And again, side conversations. I know I'm loud, but I'm also not that loud. I guess I am that loud, but I don't really feel like straining because I'd like to talk to my wife at some point. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to span two. It's going to span two time periods. We are going to go from 10,000 BCE to 600 CE. Now, the reason I do that, the reason I'm doing that, is because the College Board also kind of does that. The test, the pre-classical era from 10,000 to 600 BCE is about 5% of the test. So 5% of the questions are going to be on the pre-classical era, and none of the essay questions will be on the pre-classical era. Maybe a short answer, but even that probably not. Okay? The classical era is 15%. So combined total, they're 20%, and the other time periods are all also 20%. So we're breaking it down, the 6 time periods, into 5 review sessions, because that's kind of what the College Board does. Does that make sense? So we're going to go through kind of the beginning of human history, 10,000 BCE to 600 CE. And we're going to start with the pre-classical era. And as we look at the pre-classical era, what do we remember is the theme of our pre-classical era? What's the big idea that's happening from 10,000 BCE to 600 BCE? Now, I love it. Some of you are saying agriculture, which is true, but what is it really as we look at the major theme? What does it mean to be, civilized? And of course, as I did that, now I'm coughing. This never happens, Mr. Nolly, I promise. What does it mean to be civilized? And the biggest shift that we're going to see is the shift away from prehistory, away from the #paleo line, into the Neolithic. Now, Neolithic, we know, means farming. So 10,000 BCE, which is a major turning point in human history, pretty much the turning point in human history, is called the Neolithic Revolution. So I want to take some time and just briefly talk about the #paleo life, since, a majority of human history was hunter-gatherer. So as we look at history before 10,000 BCE, the first thing we want to understand is really, well, what makes us human? What are we? We are Homo sapiens sapiens. We are Homo sapiens sapiens. Why the other sapien? I don't know. You can ask Mr. Geller. But I'm not exactly positive. He might not know. We can ask Mr. Cervantes because he's biologist. But Homo sapiens, essentially, what makes us human? We stand up on 2 legs. We use tools. Our brains are a little bit bigger, and we are going to make more complex relationships with each other than other creatures. For a majority of human history, human societies were organized as bands of hunter-gatherers, which means literally just that. In order to survive, humans migrated around territories, finding food to eat, usually following certain animals and their migratory patterns, and also gathering certain nuts and berries and things on the way. Of course, this is why if you go onto the hashtag paleo diet, the hashtag keto diet, the hashtag atkins diet, the hashtag paleo diet is also going to be included because of other things. But the hashtag you can't actually, all copy, so anyway, the hashtag paleo, like when you go on the paleo diet, you can only eat things that are not processed, things that you could literally hunt, like this guy who's just biting on a piece of raw meat here, or gather, so something that's there. So you can have peanuts, but not peanut butter, things like that. You don't have to, but that's the kinds of foods that you are eating. Can you? You certainly can, just not in any civilized part of the world. Now, most people in the Paleolithic era were in small kinship-based societies. Now, I put that word in quotes because it is an important one. Kinship. What the Paleolithic lifestyle was like is like going on the longest backpacking trip with your immediate family. Imagine being with your immediate family, maybe your cousins, your 20 to 50 closest family members, and you lived with them forever. And you traveled around with them, just them, and you lived in little tents wherever you can find some caves if you need to. Tents may be a word too. And you are going to largely be egalitarian. In Paleolithic societies, there were not really social hierarchies. Listen. Again, side conversations. Thank you. What is your question? Quickly. The answer to that question, Aleha, is yes. Probably, I don't know the answer. We are. Thank you, Aleha, for that one. And don't forget, this is being recorded. You do have egalitarian kinship. Now, why would they be? First of all, what does egalitarian mean? It means equal. So, why would it be in Paleolithic society? Why would it be in Paleolithic society that it would be more egalitarian in nature? Because there's no stuff. There's no swell versus hydroclast. There's none of this Patagonia versus Columbia. There's none of this stuff that differentiates people. Without all of this stuff, you don't have things to make a high class and a low class. Are there some examples of Paleolithic hunter-gatherer societies that had unequal relationships? Yes, there are. In fact, the Chumash are quoted in the book as one of those examples that Share cites. Also, the Juho Omsi in Africa, the San people. I love that one. The San people also are going to develop some hierarchies within as well. But in general, you do see more egalitarian societies, and even these societies taking steps in order to promote egalitarian. And the San, it's one of my favorites in the entire book. It's one of my absolute favorites. Yeah, it's whenever the men come back from hunting, whoever brings back the kill, right? He throws the kill in front of people, and they just spend all this time sitting down in a circle. I don't know, but they sit down and they just mock the meat the whole time. Yeah, well, it's a little skinny. Yeah, I mean, it was a good kill, but you missed the first time. Yeah, you also smell bad and you look funny. Right? They just made the hunter not get a big head. They mocked the meat. I love it. I always think we should do that to students in class, right? Especially students who do well on tests. We should just make sure they don't get a big head and just have them sit in the middle of the room and we can just mock them the whole time. Very good. Now, Paleolithic people did not have a large environmental footprint. They did not have a large environmental footprint. However, we still do see the use of tools in order to manage their environment, and also they did that had dramatic impact. And one of the best things that humans came up with during the Paleolithic time is fire. And sometimes they would use fire to encourage growth on their next migratory pattern. They will also be hunting and overhunting in some cases. One of the most despicable things that I can think of is when the Paleolithic people hunted the woolly rhinoceros to extinction. I wish we had woolly rhinos. I think that would be freaking awesome. To just imagine a giant hairy rhinoceros with these big lips, just like running across Siberia, that'd be great. And then the last thing that I want you to know about the Paleolithic era, and something that I'm going to have you research a little bit more specific, is human beings did start in Africa. And it was out of Africa that humans then migrated. What you want to know is slowly over time, how people moved from Africa outward. And then, of course, how did they get from Asia into the Americas, across the land bridge, and how did they get down towards the tip of South America? There are some theories more recently that are actually suggesting it wasn't by foot, but in fact by boat, because it was incredibly quick how fast. It was fast how quickly they got down to South America faster than what would normally be possible. And so there are some debating theories about that. In addition, it's important for this Norwegian. There were a group of Norwegians who hypothesized that the Polynesians could have reached the Americas first, and they actually built a Paleolithic Polynesian boat, and they sailed it across the Pacific. It's called the Kon-Tiki. You can watch a documentary about it. You can go to the Kon-Tiki Museum in Oslo. It's cool. Anyway, those are those theories out of Africa. The only exception I want you to know about is that when people go to Australia and eventually the Polynesian islands, they do also bring agriculture with them. So just know they do bring agriculture with them. That's one of those things that's going to be kind of after the fact. But there you go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when humans begin to settle down, begin to farm, that's going to be the Neolithic or the agricultural revolution. So why does the agricultural revolution happen? Well, it happens largely because of environmental impacts. You have the end of the Ice Age, the extinction of these large mammals which they have been feeding on, which may or may not have caused a food crisis. Now, again, this is a revolution over time. It was not like one day, it's cold, I need my Patagonia, and then all of a sudden, woohoo, I can wear flip-flops, right? This was a thing that was very much so over time and happened because of hunter-gatherers' in-depth understanding of how nature worked. Eventually, they figured out that if they do certain things, they could stimulate growth. That would be the example of those fires. And so you see, slowly over time, humans developing a better understanding and then trying new things. One of the first tools that they invent to help them with farming is the digging stick. Put a seed in it. You will water it and it grows. And then you don't have to move it anymore. So you see one of the biggest things that happens because of the agricultural revolution is going to be the settling down of human society. It is the Neolithic revolution. It is agriculture that causes civilization to happen. This is why we have any sort of understanding of what a civilized, quote-unquote, society is. Without this, there would be no civilization. And so we're going to get into kind of what that means. What does it mean? What does it actually mean to be civilized? But before we do, a really important thing about the agricultural revolution, and a really cool thing, I think, is that it happens separately and independently across the world. There were places all around the world around the same time where humans all developed agriculture, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it. Without any sort of without any sort of context, they all were developing certain things that were similar. And of course, each region is going to have their own variations, and I'm going to leave that studying up to you. But in general, we see as humans settle down, they create more complex human societies, which then eventually, by 3500 BCE, and then eventually by 600 BCE, develop into full-fledged civilizations. So what are the effects? Or in other words, what does it mean to be civilized? Well, the first thing that's going to happen is you are going to lose the egalitarian nature of human society. Human societies are going to become increasingly stratified, which means they are going to have a set hierarchy, and it is hard to move up and down. Why is that? As you settle down, you accumulate stuff. Some people's farming is going to be better than other people's farming, which is going to cause conflict. And that means the people whose farming isn't as good now has to go work for the person whose land was very fertile. And there you already have some unequal relationships. Another thing that's going to happen as humans are settling down and just living closer to each other, as we know, as being a part of San Marcos High School, every once in a while, our high school gets slapped with a plague, where all of a sudden a quarter of my class will be absent at one point in time because people are and they come in and they like mope around. I watched Netflix all day yesterday. You see disease happening. In addition, humans are not only living closer to each other, but they're also domesticating animals. And many of the diseases that humans are getting are because of their proximity to animals, because of the fecal matter and methane that they're ingesting. Because of that, we're gonna diseases. This is also going to cause conflict as human size. Is a major impact that's going to happen because of farming is an increase in population. In fact, I do have that. That's next. That makes more sense. With the increase in population, there's just more of an opportunity to get into conflict with other humans. There was conflict in the Paleolithic era. Actually, some evidence of massacre, which is kind of creepy. But anyway, but you do see an increase in conflict with just more people on Earth running into each other and competing over finite resources. We talked about settled societies. One of the major impacts of the settled societies is the development of urban centers. You see urbanization developing. Now, these cities are going to be not necessarily compared to New York. They're not going to be compared to New York City, but for 3500 BCE, you still see major cities like Ur, like Mohenjo-Daro, like the Harappan civilization. You will see some cities popping up all around the world. In addition, within these cities, and especially as farming becomes, as people get better at farming, you'll see the specialization of labor, where eventually not everybody has to be engaged in farming and making food. There is a surplus of food which allows people to go into other fields. So you see specialization in craftsmen, you see artisans, you see builders, you see people having specific jobs. In addition, some regions will specialize in specific crops that they will begin to trade. So you do also see with specialization the development of some commercialization and inter and intra-regional trade. Inter-regional trade between two regions, intra within yourself. If you're an introvert, you like to just crawl in a hole and be by yourself. If you are an introvert, introvert. Nobody's an introvert. You're an extrovert. Intra, but not introvert. Yeah, it's okay, Jack. You'll get there. And the last but not least is, of course, the development of patriarchy. And this is really an interesting one because in Paleolithic societies, women really held a pretty prominent role in those kinship clans because women gathered 70% of the family's diet. I mean, women were responsible for keeping people alive. And then during the pre-classical era, as we see civilization developing, we see women being put into a subordinate position from men. So the question then becomes, well, why? What is it that caused that? Well, there's a couple of theories. We're not exactly sure, but we have a couple of theories. And one of those theories is that with the development of plow-based agriculture, it became more intensive. It took a little bit more strength. I mean, step away from social as I see this. But in general, ladies and gentlemen, women are not as strong as men. In general, women are not as strong as men. In general. So I don't want to get it. So it's an in general thing. In addition, with the increase in conflict, men also took the position of fighting. And you know, men, when we play sports and we get all pumped up, we're like, right? And we feel like when we do something big, we deserve like a prize, and we own the court. We must protect this house under armor, right? So we get all kind of pumped up. So as men begin to fight and have conflict with each other, they are also going to claim women as part of the quote-unquote booty or prize, which don't take that too far. Now, something that I did not really talk about a whole lot, but one of the developments during the pre-classical era was the development of metallurgy. Metallurgy is the smelting of different metals and mixing of metals. And there's a couple of things I want you to know that I really did not focus on in class, but for some reason does pop up on the AP exam every once in a while. You do see, at first, out of the Stone Age, you're going to see the Bronze Age. Now, the Bronze Age is going to be Oh, 1500. I was right. By 1500, you then see iron replacing bronze. You see iron replacing bronze. By 1500, you see iron replacing bronze. Iron is a stronger metal than bronze. Now, again, this is going to mean a couple of things. Usually, what that means is the place that has the more advanced metallurgy or military technology is going to be better. If you are a soldier fighting with a stone sword, you're going to lose to somebody with a bronze sword. If you're a bronze sword fighting an iron sword, you're going to lose because iron is harder than bronze, so your sword's just going to bend. Right? And then you're going to wind up just being stuck. So you see eventually the Iron Age and the development of iron weapons. And just as a little fun fact that I didn't really talk about either, during the Bronze Age, some places like the Shang Dynasty actually used it as a form of social hierarchy. The Shang nobility kept the metallurgy into bronze a secret from everybody else, and they used it as a status symbol. So they bury themselves in bronze armor just to show their own status. You can see like bronze armor plate as a way of showing that you were privy to the secret information of smelting. And I love that word, smelting. It's one of my favorite words. So becoming civilized. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to go through all of these civilizations, but what I did want you to understand and see are what are those civilizations in each of the major time periods. Each of the major time periods are going to apply the sort of what is deemed to be civilized things on their own, but are also going to do it in a different way. So they're going to have similarities, but they'll also have differences. In China, you have the Shang and the Zhou dynasties. You do also have the Xia dynasty, which was before the Shang, but it's possibly legendary, so we're not sure if it's real. Xia is Xia. In Africa, you have Egypt, one of the longest civilizations ever in history, which is really funny to think about. I saw this on one of those weird, like, click on me, clickbait thing. That Cleopatra that lived closer to the founding of Pizza Hut than she did to the Great Pyramid of Giza, which shows how long of an empire that was. That's pretty cool. I did actually check that one. Yeah. And you should also have the same class now. The Mesopotamians and Southwest Asians, you don't necessarily need to know all of these, but you should know that these were all Mesopotamian empires. You don't need to know all of the nitty-gritty about each of them, but you should know that they were all Mesopotamian and they all shared certain qualities. In India, you have Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. I want to highlight Harappa for you, and that's because Harappa was the exception at this time. They're going to develop all of these sorts of things without a major political hierarchy. So just knowing Harappa is the exception to that. And then in the Americas, let's not forget, we also have the Olmec and the Chava. The Olmec you all remember because of the big giant heads. Other civilizations to understand during the pre-classical, the Bantu in Africa that are going to be responsible for spreading both language, technology, and most importantly, farming. And then in Central Asia, you see the development of the pastoral, kind of nomadic peoples, the precursors to the Mongols that we'll look at. And then Southwest Asia, a group that doesn't get a whole lot of attention, but should and does get sometimes a mention on the AP exam, are the Hebrews, the Jewish people. Because the Jewish people are also a semi-nomadic agricultural group that is in Southwest Asia alongside with all of these others. Now, what does it mean to be civilized? So as we look at the development of civilization from 10,000 to 3,500 BCE, humans are just figuring it out. By 3,500 BCE, we see these full-fledged civilizations developing separately and independently around the world. They will be interacting with each other. I'm going to get to that in a point. But this is going to happen anywhere where farming happens. Most of these places are going to be settled along either a coast and or some sort of river or water source. Because because the most important thing is that they all rely heavily on agriculture. Their economies are agriculturally based. And so figuring out large-scale irrigation projects is one of the first things that's going to cause these more complex societies to develop. And so you see, beginning right away, is urban planning. You see cities developing all around the world. Now, I named a few of them already, but one of the famous ones is Ur, or Uruk, or Babylon, or Mohenjo-Daro, or Harappa. Those are all examples of Memphis in Egypt. All these are going to be cities that are going to develop because of the development of civilization. But also urban planning. I mentioned Mohenjo-Daro again because it's one of the coolest civilizations in we'll see minimal expansion for these civilizations. They're not going to be full-fledged empires, but they will expand a little bit. A great example of that is in Mesopotamia, as we see the first Mesopotamian society being the Sumerians, who will start as the city-state of Sumer, and then expand to incorporate more as you get to the Babylonians. The Babylonians are going to incorporate much of the Fertile Crystal, and again, the Assyrians are going to come in from outside. The Hittites and the Chariots are going to have fun too. But you do see some expansion through that. We talked a little bit about metallurgy already, but another thing that these civilizations are going to have are large armies that are outfitted with the most advanced military technology. During the pre-classical era, one of the best examples of that is not only, of course, iron. So iron-tipped spears and iron-tipped arrows are going to be a big one, but also the development of chariot warfare, which is going to be something that spreads all around Afro-Eurasia as the Hyksos develop it and conquer Egypt. Along with conquest comes powerful leaders, and of course powerful leaders that want to make sure they impress. Powerful leaders which make sure they want to impress and awe their population. So what do? They build, and they build monumental architecture. This is where you get your ziggurats. This is where you get your pyramids. This is where you get your large temples. These are things that are supposed to be hanging gardens of Babylon. These are things that are supposed to inspire awe. And in fact, you notice that most of them are shaped like a what? They're shaped like a mountain. Thank you, Kayleen. You remember my funny reference. Because, of course, these kings are saying, I am a god. I build mountains. Actually, I make my slaves do it. But still, I built them. Yes, sir. Yes. 100%. You also are going to see the development of writing. Each of these places are going to be organizing and trying to figure out how to keep tabs on how much agriculture they have. And so they keep record-keeping systems, which will then turn into systems of writing. You'll have cuneiform in Southwest Asia. You'll have oracle bones in China. Yeah, just burn a little tortoise shell and see what happens. And put the bones in there. Oracle bones there. You'll see Tipu in the Americas, hieroglyphs in Egypt. And you'll see all these examples of writing. Again, uses a method of record keeping, which will eventually turn into. We'll just skip over. Sure, we'll go there first. Which will then go into a tool that's going to be used by governments. Each of these major governments are going to issue codified laws. Laws that are going to be written down, laws that are going to be published. Probably the most important one that I want you to remember is, of course, the Code of Hammurabi. Hammurabi's Code. No, not Harambe's Code, which everybody loves to say. It's a gorilla. But Hammurabi's Code, which is the first ever written down law code, which is really cool. Really cool. Like 3,500. Anyway, codified law. In addition, writing and then other things, you'll also see elites sponsoring the arts. So not just arts as in crafts, not just monumental architecture like the big giant Olmec heads, not just statues, but also literature. We see the first versions of epic literature, epic poetry, epic poems, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is the first story ever told. You know the Epic of Gilgamesh. Your parents told it to you when you were little, so you're all fine. Because everybody loves to know that the definition of civilization is prostitutes, bread, beer, living in a city, bathing, and clothing. So that's the elite sponsoring the arts. I talked a little bit about this already, but with the specialization of the economy, also came the development of long-distance trade routes. We have evidence of not only Egypt and Mesopotamia, but also the beginning of the Indian Ocean trade that's going to start to develop as well, as you see the use of monsoon winds across the Indian Ocean. With all of these things, of course, as we know, just like in our early civilized agricultural societies, we also see the development of stratified social hierarchies, as we see their elites and commoners, and then below them slaves, and then we also see women being put into subjugated positions in all of our areas, in most notably in Southwest Asia, because it is a Southwest Asian tradition, not an Islamic tradition, with the veiling of women and polygamy. So that is what it means to be quote-unquote civilized. As we get to 600 BCE, the first wave civilizations have all come and collapsed. And we see then out the foundations are going to be our new and expansive empires. These small city-states that are going to grow large and incorporate and encompass a vast amount of territory that will really be each of our major geographic regions. These are going to be the development of our classic empires. These are the empires that represent the golden ages of certain civilizations, particularly in Europe, which we'll get to in just a second. But these are going to be the empires that are literally going to set the political, economic, cultural, and social foundations for each of our major geographic regions. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the empires that make China, China, that make Europe, Europe, that make the Americas, America, that makes India, India, sort of, that really sets how each region is going to develop. And so that's why we call them the classical empires. These classic empires, because what does it mean to be Chinese? I'm a black-haired son of God. And Qin, because that's why we call them China, Qin. Oh. What, Erod? Erod, there's a seat right up front here. Ah! Oh, thank you. Emma, you're very supportive. Okay, there you go. I'm gonna get into each of these in just a second here, Rob. So you have the Qin and Han, East Asia. What does it mean to be there? South Asia, you have the Mauryan and the Gupta empires. I don't really talk about the Gupta Empire. Really important to understand. Buddhism gets popularity in the Mauryan. Hinduism really becomes kind of the quote-unquote Indian religion under the Gupta. It's the Gupta emperors and rulers that are going to really promote Hinduism. In Europe, you have the development of the classic Europe that we're still trying to copy even in buildings today, and that's in Greece and Rome. In Southwest Asia, this is the time of the Persians, and in the Americas, you have the Maya, Teotihuacan, and the Moche. Other civilizations that are important to understand, in Central Asia, you have the Xiongnu Confederation, which could possibly be the Mongols before the Mongols, could also be a completely different group. There's a lot of fun things happening with that. And then in Europe, you have the barbarians, called that because, of course, you know, the Greeks thought anybody who didn't speak Greek just sounded like they were saying bar, and so we get our word barbarian. So you see those barbarians. So I want to look at kind of things in general about these empires and how they really help to set the... Yes, Erod, I'm sure your life is on Neo. I'm sure you're one of those that's checking Neo every 5 minutes, and you read my whole post. I always appreciate your encouragement. The first one Well, easy. I don't know about a breakdown, but it was just like All right, so here we go. Now we got to really go. Building up empires. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we are looking at this and we look at these empires, we want to know how these empires come about and how do these empires then maintain authority? Because again, all of these empires are going to start out as little city-states. Some of which, like Rome, are going to be backwater bumble scum that are going to eventually treat Rome. It's so much fun to talk about Rome in the Classic era. Because the Roman Empire, oh, they're big, oh, they're great, oh, they're wonderful. Rome didn't even have enough women to breed. They had to steal women in order to survive. The Romans got everything imported. Now, so you see small little city-states that are eventually going to expand outward, usually violently to gain more power. Once they do, how do they maintain that authority? Well, one of the ways that they're going to do that is they're going to develop centralized governments. Now, you see the foundation of centralized governments within the pre-classical civilizations, particularly within those first city-states and the pre-classical cities that we talked about. But you're going to see these governments really gaining more and more power and becoming much, much larger. That makes sense because they have a much larger territory to gain control over. And so at the head of these centralized governments are going to be emperors and kings. These emperors and kings are, of course, going to be divinely ordained. Divinely ordained means God said you're the king, right? The gods have ordained you as the ruler. It's a way of justifying your authority. We're going to see, in order to help these individual rulers keep power, the development of large bureaucracies, lower-level officials that are going to help maintain the empire and keep tabs on the empire. Some of my favorites that I wish I had more on campus were the eyes and the ears of the king. Really, the imperial spies that went around and told on local satraps to see whether or not they were being loyal to the king or not. In addition, the Persian king really didn't trust people because usually he was moving around with this army ready to kill anybody who got in his way. But that's another way to do it. And Perry's not here to take notes or give us tips. In addition, we see the continuation of codified laws. You will see law codes being used. A prominent example would be the 12 tables. The 12 tables, another codified law that I really like is Qin Shi Huangdi's legal code, where he burned 450 scholars for believing things that he didn't like. You do see the development of legalism. Something I didn't get to focus on that I usually do during second semester, and that is the expansion of cities. During the classical era, we see some of the creation of some of the world's greatest cities that we have. One of those is, of course, Rome. Of course, all the Greek cities, Athens. You see and this is always in Persia, you see the building of Persepolis, because we love that book, right? I love Persepolis, because I don't have to read it, I just have to look at the pictures, and then I like that. I like looking at pictures. So, you do see that. Now, with cities, there's comes a couple of things. Number one, with cities came what I call this is not official, so don't write this in the ooh and ah factor, right? Ladies and gentlemen, one of the things with cities was to impress others. So in Persepolis, it was literally built in order for the emperor, for the king of kings, to receive foreign dignitaries, and it told the story of the power of the king, and it even showed the hierarchies and how all are bowing beneath this wondrous king. Another great example is the city of Rome, because of course, what was one of the blessings of becoming Roman? Why was it cool to be #Roman? Well, because if you got taken over by Rome, you got everything that was cool to be Roman. So you got everything that was cool to be Roman, which means they took your cities and they made your city a little mini Rome. They gave you graded streets. They gave you a public bathhouse where everybody was bathing publicly, and they gave you a forum. They gave you a little mini coliseum, so you could forget about how miserable your life is and watch other people die. That was a good fun thing. You got everything that was cool. In addition, you also see the development of public works, particularly as you see the development of roads. Now, roads are a really nice thing. Roads are great. They're convenient for travel. They're convenient for trade. But what they're most convenient for is getting your military over to suppress any sort of insurrection. So, of course, you see the development of roads. In Persia, it's the royal road. In Rome, it is the Roman road. The ones that we don't know how they do it still. And then, of course, lastly, you do see the development of large armies, usually incorporating conquered peoples into it. The Persian army was really cool because it was a conglomeration of a bunch of different conquered peoples. I mean, it's really fun to look at all the different nationalities, or if you want to call them nationalities, ethnicities that they had, all wearing their own unique sort of uniform or whatever, and really fun to read histories on that. Oh. Last one that I'm going to tell you. Back to codified used codified laws in order to both unify his people politically, but also to promote the religion of Buddhism as he did that. That's Ashoka. Ashoka. This is what we're looking at. And he used what are called his rock and pillar edicts. His rock and pillar edicts. And on those rock and pillar edicts were of course his laws, but also these lions. And these lions on top of a lotus flower. Lion, the symbol of the Mauryan Empire. Lotus flower, the symbol of Buddhism. And these were Buddhist symbols that would point people to the way towards Buddhist holy sites. So you follow the lion to a Buddhist holy site. Ashoka, yeah. Not Ashoka. Ashoka. Yeah. So, Jackie, don't break my heart. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you also talking about the fall of empires as well. The fall of empires. So as empires are expanded, they also are going to fall by 600 CE. Now, what's really interesting in studying the fall of empires, especially the fall of the Roman and the Han dynasty, it's very similar how they kind of collapse. There is sort of a playbook for the fall of empires. And on a little side tangent, just a slight one, so really frustrated with me. Some people really like to study the fall of the Roman Empire and compare it to where the United States is now. And look at, is the United States going to fall like the Roman Empire did? Well, hopefully not exactly like the Roman Empire did, because I don't really want to get sacked. And if we do, who's going to be the business anyway? Canada? Ooh, Canada will be the business team. Anyway, so it again? I don't know. Bumble scum, I don't know. I don't know what it would be like. That'd be kind of fun. Then maybe we'll have a renaissance. Anyway, so the destruction of the fall of the empires, usually what you see is an overextension of the empire. An overextension, first will go environmentally. They're going to use up too much of their resources. Too much of their resources are going to be given to the elite. The elites are living too lavish of a lifestyle, to the point where they cannot keep living the way they are, which is going to cause famines, which is going to cause droughts, which is going to cause major issues. In addition, you also see disease spreading and causing the downfall of these empires. Both the Roman Empire and the Han Dynasty did fall to specific diseases. I think it's measles, and I'm not going to yell about the getting vaccinated, because all of you are going to get vaccinated too. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to go to Disneyland and get measles. Or mumps. What's that? Exactly. Now, the last thing, a lot of these empires are also going to be subject to invasions. As their empires expanded to these massive heights, it was really hard to protect the borders. It got more and more difficult, more and more complicated in order to protect the territory that you had, which means you were open to invasion. So you have a few examples here. Romans and, of course, the barbarians, those German barbarians that eventually made their way into the Roman Empire and then eventually converted to Christianity and then sacked Rome. You have the Gupta Empire and I'm actually going to put a little asterisk here, and the White Huns. The Gupta and the White Huns. No, it's not like a racist thing. It's just the White Huns were something different than the regular Huns. They're all Central Asian nomads, though. And then, of course, the Han Dynasty was trying to continue the Great Wall of China that Qin started in order to try to keep the Xiongnu and other Central Asian nomadic groups out. So you do see the example of the Xiongnu. Also, fun story we don't ever really talk about. In the Roman Empire, you do see the Huns invading Rome as well. A little bit later, actually, the Pope actually claims to stop the Huns, which is really funny. Plague actually does. But anyway, that's just a fun thing. Now, along with empires in these classical civilizations, we also see the development of these classical religious traditions. These traditions that are going to set the cultural foundations for each of the areas. So we talk about the political foundations, a little bit of the social foundations, but what I really wanted to look at, for a little bit at least, is also the codification of these universalizing religions. Now, when I say universalizing, what I mean is these religions claim to have ultimate truth. They claim to have truth that applies to absolutely everybody. And usually, the goal of these religions was to promote and prove truth to others. So therefore, a lot of times, they are going to spread sort of naturally, because of course, when you learn the truth, you want to share the truth. So you have each of these major religions that are going to develop in each of our regions. In Zoroastrianism, in Persia, was considered the first monotheistic religion. Monotheistic, which means one God, is Zoroastrianism. And that's one of my favorite religions. I love Zoroastrianism. Largely because it really explains, it has a lot of similar traditions as Christianity does. And it leads to the question of, oh my goodness, is Zoroastrianism kind of the influencing religion of Christianity? Or is Zoroastrianism and Christianity the same religion, just different practices, different ways? What does this mean? It's so much fun to think about. But in Zoroastrianism, you have a creator God, the person who created all good things, Ahura Mazda M5. No, wait, what is my mom driving now? My mom's driving a Mazda. My mom's driving a Mazda, but I told her she was driving an idol, and she got really upset because they told me I had to get rid of the Buddha statue in my backyard when I first bought the house, and it's like came with the house. And my mom's like, get rid of the Buddha. I'm like, no, I like the Buddha. It's kind of fun. She's like, no, don't do that. Now she's driving a Mazda. I'm like, you're driving an idol, right? You're driving Zoro. I'm gonna get her like one of those Persian stickers, put it back in the car. I think that'd be really fun. Anyway. So you see Ahura Mazda as the God who created everything good, but there's also this semi-divine being called Ambramaynu that represents all things that are evil in the world. It's a dualistic religion. It believes that there is this forces of good and evil, and humans occupy this special place in between where they get to choose between good and evil, and there will be some sort of afterlife that will promote that. There will be a Messiah that comes down and saves eventually, and of course, the wonderful saying that was made popular by Bohemian Rhapsody and that guy, Rami Malek, who played him, who said, good thoughts, good words, good deeds, because, of course, we know Freddie Mercury was a Parsi or a Zoroastrian. Relevance! I did it! You can tell the principal I was a relevant teacher today. Now, you see that... shouldn't laugh that much at it. Now, Hinduism was the next major religion that's going to develop in South Asia. Now, we know South Asia. Actually, important point. We still got about 15 minutes, and I don't have 15 minutes left in this lecture, so let's get through it. By the way, this is what I want to put on my mom's car. Anyway, I want you to see this. Hinduism can also sometimes be referred to as the Vedic religion. The Vedic religion. Because, Vedic. Hinduism, because of the Vedas. Again, each of these religions are going to become codified. They will have their holy books. In Zoroastrianism, the holy book is the Avestas. Also, this is actually quite awesome. I'm so relevant today. Alicia, and I'm sure some of you watched Game of Thrones last night. Right? It's that Fortnite table again. But the fire religion, like the Red Witch and all that, that's modeled after Zoroastrianism. Because they have fire temples. Yeah, Melisandre, right here. Now, Vedic religion in South Asia. So with Hinduism. Now, India has always had a major issue. And India's biggest issue is its size and its unparalleled cultural diversity. So you do see an attempt to try to unify all the various different religions that were found in South Asia. And one of the first attempts was in the Vedas, which is going to be explaining a lot of how the world was created and sort of the foundations of the faith. So Hinduism, in its early forms, are also known as the Vedic traditions. So just if you ever see that, just know that. And you see Hinduism being a polytheistic religion, a religion that easily incorporates others by saying, oh, well, that's just a reincarnation of this. Within Hinduism, there is, again, the promise of, I'm going to get into that a little bit later, because I want to make sure I get into what we're talking about. Hinduism is in South Asia, it's also known. Judaism is also in Mesopotamia and Southwest Asia. We see Christianity in Europe and Southwest Asia. Please don't forget this. Please don't forget that Christianity is a Southwest Asian religion. Please don't forget that. It does develop in Southwest Asia, modern-day Israel. But it does become a European religion as we see Constantine gets there as well. Buddhism will be a religion that challenges the hierarchies of Hinduism. So we'll see Buddhism being another example of that, as a wonderful book that you should all read is called Siddhartha, about Siddhartha Gautama, the original Buddha, who became enlightened after sitting under a Bodhi tree. Good. Confucianism is going to develop in East Asia, along with Taoism. I didn't put legalism up there. That's another one that is a part of that. All three of those are going to attempt to try to create social order during the period of warring states between the fall of the Zhou dynasty and the development of the Qin and Han dynasties. And then Greek rationalism, which is certainly not a religion. It's certainly not a religion, but it is a way of thinking and something that does provide kind of a classical tradition of Europe. In general, what do I want you to know about these religions? In general, I want you to know they all provide some sort of salvation. In Hinduism, the salvation means the promise of afterlife, the promise of something after this miserable life. In Hinduism, eventually, Hinduism believes in the cycle of rebirth. It believes that your soul, your Atman, is going to eventually, after you live a good life and as you move up the caste system, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, as you continue to move up, eventually your Atman will achieve moksha and will join with the great eternal soul, the Brahman, not Brahmin, but the Brahman, and eventually you'll be released from the cycle of rebirth. In Buddhism, that's the salvation is nirvana. Similar idea. You break the cycle of reincarnation. You smell some teen spirit, and then you move on and never have to come back to this earth again. That was for you, Hirad. In Christianity, salvation is seen in going into heaven, and certain other religions have other things as well. The ones that don't are going to be Confucianism and Taoism. Don't really have the sense of an afterlife. A little bit in Confucianism and in Chinese religion, as they believe in ancestral spirits, but not necessarily to the extent of others. They were all codified into written text. I mentioned some of those already previously. They all justified authority. Each of the major empires are going to use one of the religions as a way of justifying their authority. They're going to use their religion in order to say, God or whoever wants me to be here. Some will also challenge those religions as well. Christianity is a great example of that. Buddhism, in some cases, is a great example of that. And of course, the Yellow Turban Rebellion in China is a great example of Taoism inspiring revolts against the Han dynasty. So sometimes they do inspire revolts. They will spread outward, mostly on trade routes. I want you to know this word missionaries, because some of these religions are missionary religions. They basically demand that you go out and preach the good news to somebody else. Christianity is an example of that. I don't have them on this slide, but Buddhism is another example of a missionary religion. And this is the, what are those backpacks called? Herschel? Those are those Herschel backpacks. It used to be formerly Jansport or LL Bean backpacks of the Buddhists, right? You actually see that. When you watch Mongol, you saw that guy kind of going. That's what a Buddhist backpack looks like. Jansports are cool. Now, they also provide social stratification. Now, I'm going to talk about that a little bit as I talk about social hierarchies in just a second. But they will also provide opportunities. Buddhism provided opportunities for women, even though Buddha didn't want to allow his stepmom to be in it. Buddha didn't want his own mother to be a part of it. Christianity is going to be another religion that at least at first allows for women to participate, especially in the first early Christian church. Women were actually leaders in the church, which is sometimes forgotten by church officials today. And then, of course, I wish we had more time. I actually have a wonderful assignment that we never get to do, but I spent so much time on it, we never get to do it. How religion is also going to influence art and architecture. So a lot of things that we consider Roman architecture, a lot of things we consider Indian or Chinese or Southwest Asian, Persian, what we consider that comes from how these religions are influencing the way people show the world. That also means dance as well. I don't actually know if that's a dance, but I don't know what I can say there. But also paintings and buildings. What? It could very well be. It could very well be. Yeah, we'll get there. All right. So quickly to get into social hierarchies, we do see in all of our major areas, like I said, something that defines these empires were stratified social hierarchies. In each of these major empires, social mobility, the ability to move up a class or a caste, was pretty difficult to do, especially in one's lifetime. And there's some pretty strict examples of that. And each of these religions is going to really either serve as a way of justifying these social hierarchies, kind of proving it, or in some ways challenging it. So the most famous is, of course, the caste system in India, as the Vedas and other Hindu texts are going to outline kind of the major castes or groups of people within, and there are going to be some castes that are higher than others. You have the Brahmins on top, the Kshatriyas who are going to be, and the Brahmins are the priests who are responsible for the spiritual well-being of everybody, which is why they're the head. The arms, the Kshatriya, they provide the power. You see the thighs are going to be the Vaisas because they're driving societies, you know, the wealthy landowners, and also some of the business people who are earning the wealth. And then, of course, the feet are the Shudras, and the Shudras are providing much of the menial labor and all the small farmers. Of course, there's even people outside of social hierarchies, the Dali or the untouchables. The Dali or the untouchables, because again, you have people even outside of that. In China or in East Asia, social hierarchies were formalized by filial piety, because again, Confucianism, Taoism, legalism, trying to figure out how to create social harmony. And so what Confucianism's answer was, it's all about right relationships. It's all about trying to get the right way of interacting with each other. So filial piety said, respect your elders and those and the people who are in charge of you, the people who are in charge. You should make sure you're always taking care of those who are beneath you. That also applies, both of these places also apply to women as well. In Hinduism, one of the patriarchal practices that begins in the Vedic tradition is the practice of sati, which is the practice of widow burning. When a husband dies, and usually the husband will die first because he's marrying a much younger woman. When the husband dies, the woman is to be burned alive on his funeral pyre, and she's to do it willingly. Yeah, it's a pretty fun one. Sati, which we'll talk about, and filial piety in East Asia also promotes patriarchy in the sense that the superior was seen as the male, and the inferior was seen as the female, and the female was always expected to be under the control and the power of the male. And I've already talked about patriarchy. Oh, another major thing is, of course, slavery. When we talk about slavery during the classical era, it's really hard to do for us. But you have to separate it from your common understanding of how slavery was in the Americas. Slavery in the classical and pre-classical era was much different. You can be enslaved for a period of time in your life and then be free. You can earn your freedom. You can buy your freedom. Your master could simply just let you go. You're not necessarily doing all agricultural or manual labor. Sometimes you're working in your house. Some slaves actually wielded great power. Other slaves became freed and then owned 300 of their own. So slavery was just something that was a little bit different. Still terrible, still property, still something you don't want to be, but absolutely still a thing. Usually slavery happened when you were in debt to somebody financially. So that's how slavery goes. Bum. Woohoo! And we can really kind of go through this, this ties into our next time series. So I'll give this to you now. During the classical era, we also see the expansion of our major trade routes. It is during this time that we see people beginning to traverse the Silk Road. Now, again, the Silk Road were not done all by one person. The Silk Roads were done by caravans, and people are going to go stop by stop, and merchants. It's going to be more of a train of merchants, not necessarily just one single person. So you're going to see the Indian Ocean trade largely beginning now. In fact, if you are in Miss Jacobson's class, I'm going to say a dirty word to you, and that word is southernization. I've heard that was like the answer to every question for a while in Miss Jacobson's class. Yeah, see my class? I'm not the only one. Actually get the hemisphere configuration next week. Southernization, because a lot of the things that we take for granted today all come from India. A lot of technology, a lot of mathematics, pretty much everything, right? Miss Jacobson's class. So southernization is a big part of that. And then, of course, the trans-Sahara trade. I'm going to show you this. We are going to talk about this next week as we look at that. So I'm not going to really go over it too much. But here's some causes and effects of the interregional trade. Of course, you do see the spread of crops, techniques, and diseases. Please don't forget. Do not forget kanats. You cannot forget kanats. Kanats are going to be a thing used in ancient Persia for aqueducts figuring out the water table from a hill and then over to irrigated land. We cannot forget them. We cannot. But then you also are going to see the spread of diseases. We talked about diseases rocking the Roman and Han empires, and that was because their interaction via trade. And what's really interesting is Roman emperors oftentimes wore silk, and they got the silk from China, but they don't even know what China is. So it's interesting to see that these places were connected, but not always knowingly so. And then we'll get to the world's greatest invention during the post-Fossil era. We got 3 minutes. You don't need to clap. I know we just went through a heck of a lot.